I think I'm starting to get lucky now because nobody watches my videos anymore. And that's a good thing. Now I can be myself. Now I can let my hair down. I can let my hair down finally. Nobody can watch me. I can dance naked in the room. But the one thing I'm thinking about is about seriousness. Sometimes when you get enough people watching you, you start to become conscious of the fact that you have an audience. And you become aware of that. And then that starts influencing what you talk about. You start sort of monitoring your own words and your own thoughts. See, I kind of think that that's a funny thing. The religious things are interesting to me because I'm not interested in a debate, but I've always been interested in exploring religion. I don't mean just all the little details of history, which is interesting to me. I love history in general, but history of religion is fascinating to me. How did certain concepts come about? And so much stuff. Religion is a funny thing. Modern religion today is really a composite of a lot of different things. It's not just one thing, like, it just started off this way and this is the way it's always been. It would be like somebody believing that there was always cars, for example. That we've always had cars and airplanes and everything. And that's been the case for billions of years. And we don't realize that these things sort of have come about. They have all evolved. And religion has evolved. And so does our thinking about it. And that's the process. There is a continuous evolution. Cultural evolution. Religious evolution. And yes, there's biological evolution. It's just interesting to think about these things. All the things that influence religion. All of this debate and discussion. Which, it's funny that sometimes when I think about this stuff, when I get on YouTube and I look at all the different videos, and people are debating back and forth about religion. And if you go to other places, when you step out of YouTube and get into the real world, you realize that most people are just like as if that's being in a complete different world. Most people aren't debating about religion. Just the average person that isn't having a debate with anybody about believing and not believing and this, that. There really isn't a debate about religion. But when you get into this YouTube world, it's like, I think that's the equivalent of getting into a spaceship and going hundreds of millions of miles away to another planet where there's this different reality. There's a different reality in YouTube. There's a complete different reality. It's like as if you were in two different worlds. Maybe some of that reality is also in me because I'm focusing on these videos. Now I look at a lot of videos on cars and stuff. I watch a lot of videos because I want to get a car one day. Because I don't have one now. So, if you surround yourself with stuff like that, it's like as if you're in a different world. So I'm in a world of cars. But I still find philosophy to be interesting too, because I've surrounded myself for many, many years with philosophy books and read philosophy, and I still find it fascinating. I also find myself fascinated with science. So in a funny way, we live in different worlds by choice. Sometimes I get into the world of this, looking at this battle, and I'm kind of neutral. I'm kind of the neutral person in this because I'm not taking one side or the other. I have my own personal beliefs, but that's it. I'm not here to put other people down or to promote something. I'm just here to be me. I do have my own little things that I'd like to talk about. Like, for example, I do really strongly believe in having a positive attitude in life and positive thinking. And, I was looking at some of the responses over the years, really, for the past year or so, that I've been making videos on YouTube. And I look at some of the responses, some of the criticism, some of the praise, some of the things. Mostly, I'm looking at the criticism because, and I try to see if there's something legitimate in that. Is there something legitimate in the criticisms? And sometimes there's some things that that I think that what it is that I'm going to be a little bit arrogant for 1 second and say, I know I'm right in my position. I just know that. I know that. In taking the positions that I take about having a positive attitude in life. Because that's the only one I actually promote, so to speak. But, and so far as the thing about God, and I thought about this yesterday. It was something that was on my mind. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to put this video up. I don't even know how to title this. But it occurred to me that insofar as God is concerned, I may be wrong. There may not be a God. There actually might not be a God. But yet, here I am, I continue to believe this. But if I took the other position of saying there is no God, I might be wrong about that. There might possibly be a God. What is the nature of that God? I can never know. I don't know if there is one. And if there isn't one, what does that mean? Because those are questions. I think I've learned so much stuff from Jean-Paul Sartre and existentialism that you have to look at these things. What does that mean? No matter what the answer is, no matter one way or the other, what does it mean? What does it mean? What are the implications of one answer or the other? But if you can never really have the answer, how should you live your life? Well, maybe this will get me all the criticism in the world in saying this, but I still think about what Einstein said when he said imagination is more important than knowledge. So I just use my imagination. I imagine what's true and I live according to that. That's very, some people would consider that to be irresponsible, but I guess that's just the way I do. It's what works for me. It may not work for anybody else. And I may pay dearly for it in my life, although so far I haven't. But that's just the way it is. You imagine and then you live, because that's all we do. The alternative is to know. And in the meantime, until that knowledge comes in, I'll just stick with my imagination.